Hey, how's it going everybody? I hope you're all good. My name is Peter Gargan, and for this video, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Mario and Luigi RPGs, a game series that is very important to me despite not properly covering it on the channel before. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. When Mario and Luigi series developer AlphaDream filed for bankruptcy in 2019, following the underperformance of the Bowser's Inside Story remake on the 3DS, the future of one of the more overlooked sub-series of the Mario universe seemed pretty set in stone. It was practically dead. However, after recent developments regarding the other RPG series, as well as a survey sent out by Nintendo acknowledging its existence, a spark of hope started to ignite. Could we see an eventual return? To give some background, Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga for the Game Boy Advance is probably the earliest game I can remember falling in love with, being the game that introduced me to the Mario universe and shaped my eventual lifelong obsession with Nintendo, and it's safe to say that it still remains one of my favourite games of all time, due to a mix of nostalgia, as well as just being a very high quality game in general that has aged incredibly well. Honestly, there's a high probability that you'll enjoy it if you've never tried it for yourself. Anyway, the series' main appeal that sets it apart from the other existing Mario RPGs is, well, the inclusion of Luigi, as the name would imply. The core mechanic revolves around the brothers' teamwork in both overworld exploration and semi-rhythm based combat. The A button is linked to actions performed by Mario, while the B button is associated with Luigi. So, for example, while you're exploring the overworld, you can use the A and B buttons to make both brothers jump over gaps or swing hammers to break obstacles. You can also use special moves in combat known as Bros attacks that test your timing to deal extra damage, as well as counterattack incoming enemies when it's their turn. Normally, turn-based RPGs will force you to take damage from enemies no matter what, as your party members just sit there and take it, until they're next allowed to strike. But in Mario and Luigi's case, you could potentially play through the entire adventure without taking a single point of damage if you're skilled enough, due to the option of dodging and countering whatever comes your way. The Mario and Luigi series was also beloved for its unique settings and humorous dialogue that wouldn't typically be found in the main series of platformers. So, when it was announced that AlphaDream went bankrupt, it was most certainly a dark day. 5 years have passed, and there hasn't been a new entry on Switch since, and it seems as if another developer hasn't stepped up to continue AlphaDream's legacy. So I pretty much accepted the series' fate. And while the Mario plus Rabbids duology are great games, they fit under the tactical subgenre, therefore making them fulfill a completely different niche, but were also the only way to get that unique Mario RPG fix on Nintendo's hybrid console. Especially when the Paper Mario series continued its controversial experimental trend with the Origami King. Don't get me wrong, the latter still has its fans, but it was certainly not what fans of the first two entries in the Paper series were hoping for. Additionally, I never understood why they insisted on remaking Bowser's Inside Story for the 3DS to begin with. Being a system that was already backwards compatible with the OG DS cartridges, it literally made no sense to me. I can sort of understand Superstar Saga being remade on 3DS as a way of making the entire series accessible on the same system, since it was shackled to GBA at the time, which only goes as far as the DS Lite in terms of backwards compatibility. But surely for Bowser's Inside Story, you might as well just put it on the Switch instead with HD graphics and adjustments to make it fit the control scheme to give it a better chance of succeeding. Especially with how the 3DS was on its way out at the time, and the Switch was such a hot item as it was still in its infancy. Not only that, but releasing it in such close proximity to New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe may have also screwed it over, as 2D Mario is always guaranteed to sell big, meaning it was unfairly overshadowed on top of being released for a system that most people had moved on from in favour of the Switch. It also confused me when they just decided to skip out on Partners in Time entirely, as I found that game to be absolutely underrated and deserving of a second chance. Sure, it had its flaws, but that would have been all the more reason to give it a modern makeover. And being an early DS release, the only other way to play it through official means was through the Wii U Virtual Console, which has now been discontinued, meaning that most people who would want to try it now have no other choice but to sell their own kidney to afford a second-hand copy, and that's if they don't resort to emulation, which Nintendo is established to be so vocally against. You might be thinking that everything I've described so far has been multiple nails in an already sunken coffin, and trust me, that's exactly how I've been feeling for about half a decade at this point. However, 2023 started to show glimmers of optimism when the highly requested Super Mario RPG remake was announced, as well as the heavily demanded remake of the fan favourite Paper Mario Thousand Year Door just a few months later. Having 2 remakes of beloved classics that many fans have begged Nintendo to revisit being announced practically back to back after being initially unthinkable possibilities now means that the return of Mario and Luigi is no longer ruled out. This is also apparent as fans have recently been receiving email surveys from Nintendo surrounding the Mario RPGs, with Mario and Luigi being specifically mentioned. Admittedly, none of this is automatically official confirmation of its return, but if Nintendo are acknowledging its existence in this manner, as well as remaking other games fans have been begging for years, it's at least a good indicator that they are testing the waters to see if enough of their audience are interested in seeing the next entry. Perhaps we'll see a remake of an existing title, or soft reboot it under a new developer with supervision from former AlphaDream staff. You never really know. As a series that has seen modest sales, with the exception of the remakes, it's not like Nintendo would be taking a shot in the dark by releasing a new entry on the Switch, or maybe even their next console as an enticing new exclusive. To put it into perspective, a family-friendly RPG that is accessible to newcomers of the genre, starring their 2 most iconic mascots, isn't anywhere near at risk of underperforming compared to the likes of a brand new Star Fox or Kid Icarus entry would be. Let's be real here. I mean, the pre-orders for the Thousand Year Door remake have been selling out on Amazon most times I've been checking, so there is clearly enough demand from the fanbase for a resurgence in the originality that these titles provide. As much as it can be argued that the dedicated Mario RPG community is a vocal yet smaller crowd that may not be as huge as the mainstream appeal of the main series platformers or Mario Kart, I'm at least optimistic that we have an opportunity to introduce a much wider range of newcomers to them than ever before, due to the Switch's insanely high user base over its 7 years, in the hope of creating new fans and expanding that community. Anyway, that just about does it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know what you think regarding the potential of the Mario and Luigi series seeing a comeback. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the Peter Gargan channel for more content on the world of Nintendo or other topics of interest. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, see you later.